There is an absolute boundary at the edge of human comprehension. It is a threshold where the comforting terrestrial illusions of logic and physical order disintegrate entirely, leaving behind nothing but the terrifying raw mechanics of existence. For centuries, modern civilization has celebrated the scientific pioneers who dared to cross this boundary, illuminating the darkness of the unknown with the unyielding light of mathematical reason. This film is not a story of human triumph. It is a chronicle of profound, irreversible cognitive collapse. It is an examination of 5 brilliant men who ventured further into the mathematical and physical truth of the universe than anyone before them. Ludwig Boltzmann gave humanity the atomic world. By defining entropy mathematically, he proved that reality is composed of atoms and unlocked the probabilistic thermodynamic mechanics of the entire universe. But proving that the universe is governed by inevitable, irreversible decay ultimately shattered his own fragile mind. He described himself as a restless spirit, swinging violently between periods of euphoric mania and absolute suffocating despair. Tormented by severe asthma, rapidly failing eyesight, and the academic community's brutal mocking rejection of his atomic theories, Boltzmann lived in constant, paralyzing terror of abruptly losing his memory during a lecture. His formal medical diagnosis was severe neurasthenia, a mind collapsing entirely under the weight of its own genius. As his physical health disintegrated, the inescapable disorder he discovered in physics became his internal reality. On a family holiday in Italy, unable to bear the chaotic noise of existence, Boltzmann hanged himself while his wife and daughter swam nearby. Georg Cantor mathematically conquered the infinite. By inventing transfinite set theory, he proved that some infinities are vastly larger than others, fundamentally rewriting the architectural reality of mathematics. Yet capturing infinity demands a devastating psychological toll. Cantor's mind fractured, descending into severe cyclic manic depression and relentless paranoia. He believed a vast conspiracy of academic colleagues was attempting to destroy him, while simultaneously claiming his mathematical theories were dictated directly by the secret voice of God. During intense manic episodes, he abandoned numbers entirely, obsessively attempting to prove Francis Bacon wrote Shakespeare's plays to escape the infinite. Institutionalized repeatedly in a German psychiatric asylum, his treatment consisted only of brutal isolation, endlessly begging his family to let him return home. The architect of the infinite spent his final months locked away, malnourished and alone, dying of starvation and heart failure. Kurt Gödel forever shattered human logic. His incompleteness theorem proved mathematically that no system can be entirely reduced to fixed rules, establishing the terrifying fact that unprovable truths will always exist. This profound realization of an ultimately unknowable reality seeped deep into his psyche. As he aged, Gödel's profound solemnity morphed into a crippling pathological paranoia. He became utterly convinced that a shadowy conspiracy was constantly attempting to poison him. Retreating into absolute physical and mental isolation, he refused to eat anything unless it was prepared and tasted by his wife, Adele. When she was hospitalized for 6 months, the greatest logician of the 20th century was left completely defenseless against his own irrational terrors. Consumed entirely by the delusion that all food was tainted, he refused all nourishment. He starved himself to death, passing away weighing a mere 66 pounds. Paul Ehrenfest was the moral conscience of quantum physics. His brilliant mathematical theorems bridged classical mechanics and quantum theory, providing the foundational, rigorous questioning that rapidly advanced modern physics. However, the bizarre, inherently probabilistic nature of the new quantum world deeply horrified him. He suffered from crippling imposter syndrome, describing himself as an exhausted dog desperately chasing a speeding tram. As the deterministic physics he loved mutated into incomprehensible mathematics, his clinical depression spiraled into absolute despair. The agonizing complexities of his scientific life were mirrored painfully at home, where he bore the immense emotional weight of caring for his son, who suffered from Down syndrome. In a state of overwhelming emotional collapse, convinced that he and his disabled son had no place in this increasingly chaotic, dark world, Ehrenfest took his child to an Amsterdam park, shot him, and then turned the gun on himself. Hugh Everett III revolutionized quantum mechanics. He boldly proposed the many worlds interpretation, theorizing mathematically that every quantum choice physically splits reality, creating an infinite number of parallel universes. But when his brilliant theory was brutally dismissed as nonsensical by the scientific establishment, Everett abandoned physics entirely. He became a Cold War defense analyst, utilizing his genius to calculate the cost-benefit of nuclear megadeaths for the Pentagon. Functioning as a real-life Dr. Strangelove, he retreated into severe alcoholism and chain-smoking, emotionally severing himself from his intensely dysfunctional family. Believing his other selves were succeeding in parallel universes, he remained completely oblivious to the suffering around him, tragically missing the warning signs of his own teenage daughter's suicide attempt. Consumed by nihilism and 3 martini lunches, Everett's physical form surrendered. He suffered a fatal heart attack at 51, legally drunk, his ashes unceremoniously thrown into the garbage. The tragic ends of Boltzmann, Cantor, Gödel, Ehrenfest, and Everett are not mere historical footnotes or coincidences. They are fundamental, terrifying indicators of the immense cognitive strain required to decode the absolute reality of our universe. Their complex equations brought humanity screaming into the modern age, giving us the invisible power of the atom, the terrifying scale of the infinite, the unprovable limits of human logic, the probabilistic chaos of the quantum realm, and the ontological nightmare of the multiverse. But their fragile human minds were ultimately sacrificed upon the altar of those very discoveries. They did not just educate humanity on the history of physics and mathematics. They haunted us with the knowledge of what it truly costs to understand the universe.